Welcome to tonight's episode of The Director's Suite, still a work in progress. Tonight's episode, we're just going to cover some recent news in terms of Blu-ray and horror and cult world within Australia. And tonight I'm joined with Dom, my co-host.
Hello again, everyone. Glad to be here.
Yes, it's Dom. We did have another potential guest, but unfortunately he can't make it tonight, so hopefully he'll make it in next week's episode. So, tonight we're just going to discuss some recent news, and obviously we're going to move into talking about Umbrella Entertainment and some of their recent Blu-ray releases, because Umbrella has done some pretty amazing stuff recently on Blu-ray.
Yes, they have. Sorry. Listeners, forgive my cough. I'm just, battling winter chills over here, so if it sounds like I'm choking to death, I probably am, but, we'll just keep moving on with our podcast.
Yeah, he literally is. I see the blood. Unlike the US, where it's sunshine lollipops, it's death and rain down here in Sydney. So, so we'll cover Umbrella later on. But to begin with, just some recent news. The upcoming Blu-ray release of Cannibal Holocaust is coming out here locally in Australia. Are you excited for that, Dom?
Oh, God, I'm beyond excited. Excited's not even the right word. Given that this is a film that was banned for
25 years.
How many years are we talking? 25 years?
Yeah.
And to suddenly get, a high definition Blu-ray deluxe special edition, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you have a copy of it, as I understand. You've just shown me.
Yes,
over Skype, and I'm even more jealous of that.
I'm just teasing him right now with this copy. Yeah, I have an early copy of it, so I'm actually working on a review, so I'll get it up hopefully before the week's out. But it's a very nice set. It maintains all the features of the old one, and also it has a few new extra features, but the new artwork as well on the inside, I think it's really nice. But a movie, like you said, that's been banned for so long and so notorious, I never thought I'd see the day it would get a Blu-ray release, not for a while, at least. The good news is that Siren Visual have pretty much just ported the US version across, so it's exactly the same. I believe there was a Shameless release that was censored. I don't have that release.
That was a cut version.
Cut version, yeah. And they cut out all the animal cruelty, and it's pretty shit.
That's right. Because with the other with the Grindhouse release from a few years back, that we also had our own, I think, our previous DVD release of Cannibal Holocaust, that was the same deal with all the same features were just imported directly from the US version. I remember you could watch the film in, I think, an uncensored version and an animal cruelty
free version.
But again, with the Shameless release, they didn't even give you that option. But what I did like about the Shameless release, for me, a redeeming factor, I liked that because with all the Shameless releases, they had the double-sided sleeve cover art, and one of the cover arts was the a recreation of the original Go Video pre-cert VHS from back in the day during the Video Nasties craze. So I like that they recreated that cover with Goya's painting with the cannibal just hoeing into those intestines. So
yeah,
I think that's a great cover. But no, I'm very excited about this, and I believe that today is the 9th of July. It gets released tomorrow on Thursday.
I think, Thursday's the usual release date.
I eagerly anticipate my copy tomorrow.
Not long.
Very much.
I'll try and get my review up, because from what I've seen, it's, like I said, it's a carbon copy of the Grindhouse. Even the old DVDs, they pretty much had the Grindhouse menus, the Grindhouse logo. I think it's cool how instead of skimping us, they're just giving us the complete version. The other problem was that I also have another Blu-ray release, which is an Italian one, and I got it because I was excited because it's uncut, it's on Blu-ray, but unfortunately it hasn't got an English dub. It has subtitles, but it's in Italian. I think you'd like it, Dom, but
I was going to say, for someone like me, that would be perfect, John. Wink, wink. If you want to, if you're finding it that frustrating to watch, hey, I'm happy to take it off. Yeah,
yeah, it's
give it a good home.
Well, it's got. I'm just looking at it now. It's got beautiful artwork. I mean, it's got the original poster where he's holding up the sort of stone in the air.
I do like that. I do like that poster.
It's quite nice, but obviously you can understand all that, Dom, in Italian. Yeah, not sure.
Yes, I could.
It's a great release.
Of actors, I think, out of the 4 actors who made up the young people that the students. Thank you. It is 9 o'clock here, and we both have had very long days, so keep that in mind. There's very, very long days. I believe out of the 4 students, 2, I know the girl was definitely Italian, and I think one of the guys was as well.
Yeah.
But again, with a lot of these Italian productions of the 70s and 80s, what I love about them was that it was just a real, just cavalcade of people from all. It was a very international cast in terms of production, people behind the scenes. I think it was filmed in Cambodia. If I'm not mistaken.
So. Yeah, I believe so. It definitely wasn't in the Amazon jungle, to my knowledge.
It was not in the Amazon states. I think it was Cambodia, and they actually did location shooting. And I'm really excited to get this release. Obviously, like with the previous release, I devoured all the special features on it.
Same.
But to go into even more detail, you hear about stories related to this film about how the director paid the actors to pretty much disappear from the face of the earth for a year.
Then he got arrested?
Release to make people believe that they'd actually been killed. Yet he himself got arrested. They had to appear on Italian television to prove that they were still alive. People believed that that they'd actually been killed by cannibals. So the film carries a lot of weight.
Yeah, it carries a legacy.
To finally get a local Blu-ray release, I think this is a triumph for gorehounds.
Yeah, and kicking the censors in the nuts, because I mean, it's getting to the point now where a lot of movies are being released uncut in Australia. I'm noticing it more and more. I think there's only a few movies still banned. I think Pink Flamingos is technically still banned.
Which is ludicrous, if you ask me, given that we've, celebritized Miley Cyrus, but anyway.
Yeah, I know.
And wax on about that or not.
Yeah, and I think there's a few other... Oh, and obviously any film with necrophilia is banned, so Necromantic's banned, but...
Necromantic, and I think even other notorious films from the past, like, what was that one? Base-moi? The French film?
Oh, Base-moi, yeah, that's been on and off with censors. It gets uncut, then banned, then uncut, then banned. I just can't figure out that movie.
And what was that other one with the kids? Ken Park?
Oh, Ken Park, yeah, that's still banned. The director of Kids, yeah. I've seen that movie. I've had to obtain it somehow, but it's not very good.
I mean, the film itself is pretty shit.
But the subject matters. All right, cool. Well, Dom, you're going to get your copy very shortly. Is there anything else you have to say? I mean, we can dedicate an episode to Cannibal Holocaust if you'd like.
I think we'll have to. Once we both have, a copy of it each, and we've had time to, look through all the special features and, see the new transfer and for me to finally see it in Blu-ray. Obviously you've already got a Blu-ray copy of it, albeit in a different language, but I think once we both have had time to do that, I think we'll definitely do an entire episode dedicated to Cannibal Holocaust, and I hope that this is the start of many other films to be released on Blu-ray. I'd love to see Cannibal Apocalypse or Cannibal Ferox.
Yeah. Exactly.
Get local. I know Cannibal Ferox
Mountain of the Cannibal
has
God.
been released here. I don't think Cannibal Apocalypse has ever been.
No.
Apart from the old Palace Explosive,
VHS.
I don't think it ever got the VHS. I don't think it ever even got a DVD release.
No, it didn't. It didn't get one. I thought that would be a title something Umbrella would pick up back in the day, but it never got a release. There was Cannibal Ferox got a Siren released that on DVD uncut. So there's hope. There's potential for a Blu-ray.
There's potential there. So
because even Grindhouse Releasing hasn't released it in the US yet. One thing I was going to mention: this Blu-ray actually has a new transfer. So the Italian Blu-ray, the new local one has richer colors and it's a lot more cleaner as a print. So 2 thumbs up from John. So
seems to be 2 thumbs up from Dom as well, by the sounds of it. God, very, very, very cool.
very cool. All right, so enough holocausting, cannibal wise. We shall move on to next segment. I was just going to mention now. Second bit of news was from our friends in the US called at Vinegar Syndrome. Now, Vinegar Syndrome, to viewers that don't know in Australia, they're this DVD and Blu-ray company releasing some pretty obscure stuff and giving it royal treatment. So far on Blu-ray, a lot of their titles are very obscure, and you probably never even heard of them, but once you discover them, you'll discover some...
Probably never even heard of them. I like that.
You'll discover...
You haven't heard of these films.
No.
I haven't.
No.
I'm sure most of our listeners haven't.
There's a few gems in their collection. Like, for example, I saw Runaway Nightmare, and I didn't know what to expect, and it was this strange horror / mafia / thriller that was lost in the 80s, and they did a beautiful Blu-ray release. I'm trying to think of a movie you might know, Dom. Do you remember this? It was like the rarest VHS in Australia's history. It was the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde portfolio.
And that's the one that goes for stupid money on eBay, I believe. I remember a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's like $1,000.
That went for, well, I want to say 1,000 or near or over 1,000. It was some ridiculous amount of money.
It was. Intervision.
It belongs to that rare group of VHS here in Australia that only pop up once in a blue moon, and I think we're talking things like Rape Squad,
yep,
Evil in the Woods, Mindstalk, those Escape from Mental Asylum. There's another release that, I think, did you have it? It was the Caligula No,
I didn't.
I think
the
Aussie
X-rated
Roadshow
had the X-rated Caligula, which was fucking. It's
very rare.
So rare. It's anything on that Palace X label is just goes for crazy money. But this movie, it's one of those rare, and they actually did a Blu-ray release of that, so it kept a lot of fans happy who for years have been wanting to see it but not wanting to pay $1,000 on eBay. So they gave that a Blu-ray release. I was just going to mention, they've also released a movie called Sugar Cookies. Now, that's a Lloyd Kaufman movie.
Of Troma fame.
Yeah, Troma fame. Have you heard of Sugar Cookies?
No, but anything with a Troma connection, I'm very intrigued by. I love that whole trash, made in your own backyard kind of aesthetic of film, so... I think Lloyd Kaufman, he's great. So
he is.
Would you like to tell us a bit about Sugar Cookies?
Well, Sugar Cookies is it's Lloyd Kaufman's first movie, and I believe it was produced by Oliver Stone before he became big. And it's kind of like, it's a thriller, sort of like a softcore porno. It is violent, but it actually stars Jamie Lynn. She's that girl from. She has a very 70s look to her. She was in The Crazies.
Yes.
She was one of the female cult members in I Drink Your Blood, I Eat Your Skin. I think she was.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's in it. It's a good movie. I'll say that. I did enjoy it thoroughly. And I was just going to mention they also released a movie called Night Train to Terror, which was kind of this movie made of lost films cut up together to make somewhat of a movie, and it's just hilarious. But it's a great release, and like I said, they do amazing Blu-ray transfers, and the restorations are incredible. So I thought I'd just give them a shout out for everything they do.
No, that's what, like, hearing, obviously I'd never heard of Project Runway until I actually read your review on it. And we should add that our reviews are all, you've obviously got many more reviews up than I do. I only have the one up at the moment. But if you want to head over to our website, the Director's Suite Cast website, you can read John's review on Project Runway. It sounds like the kind of film that shouldn't work, but from what I've read that you wrote, it sounds like it does.
Yeah, it does.
It really sounds like a bit of a trip. So I would really want to watch that.
It's a trippy
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde as well. And what are the future possible releases.
Well, yeah, they did announce that potentially. They're releasing, obviously, first off, they're releasing a slasher called Graduation Day. I haven't seen that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a Troma movie, I believe they're releasing, Graduation Day. And any thoughts on that? Or
just,
run-of-the-mill
for any
slasher?
fans of classic 80s slashers, it's a very formula film, but it's got, a lot of fun in it too. But I don't know if it was a Troma film or if it just got distributed by Troma.
That's why I think, yeah, it just got picked up.
Because I think when we say Troma, or at least in my mind, when I think a Troma film, I think of like Toxic Avenger, something that's made like the ground up in Troma.
Troma Studios,
as opposed to something like, what's another example, like Combat Shock, for example, that isn't a Troma film per se, but it's distributed by Troma, and that film is just so depressing.
It is. It hasn't got that Troma vibe. You go into it thinking, boy, Troma is going to be like head squashing and yay, and it's just
you think of like Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD, or Terra Firma, or Tales from the Crapper, and then suddenly you get Combat Shock, and you think, whoa, like, is this in a totally different league to those films? So
because it's like a sort of a darker version of Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver meets, I don't know, like fucking hell. It's kind of like, I call it Taxi Driver meets Eraserhead. I recommend anyone to go see it because there's like this alien baby in it that kind of reminds me of Eraserhead. But so moving on just quickly. So a potential Graduation Day, and their next title, which is going potentially, they announced, is going to be Last House on Dead End Street on Blu-ray.
That's very exciting. I think that would be that film's first ever Blu-ray release.
It would, because it's had many DVD releases.
It got released by Barrel Entertainment over in the US in a big, chunky deluxe digipack. It got released here in Australia by, I want to say,
Hard Corpse.
That's
it made like two releases.
Very short-lived, obscure DVD company.
But they were fantastic.
Which released some interesting stuff. Sorry?
But they were fantastic, that company. Like, they released some quality stuff. Like, they put a shit ton of extras on. They didn't skimp out.
And then they just kind of disappeared without any sort of warning or, But yeah, I'm just trying to think. Barrel Entertainment Hardcore, I think it got released in the UK by Tartan. But yeah, I think this will be its first ever. And again, that's another film that seems to go for crazy amounts of money on places like eBay. In whatever edition you can find it in. It just seems to attract... It's got a very loyal cult following. And it also received a VHS release a couple of years back too, which I actually was one of the lucky mofos that I think it was like, I'm trying to think how many people were chosen. You bought the
That's right.
I can't remember who released it.
It was the guys who did August Underground Mortem, wasn't it? That studio.
Fred Vogel. Toe Tag
Pictures. Toe Tag Production, yeah.
And they released it in my eyes, a very definitive release. Even though it was on a VHS format, it came with stickers and booklets. And if you were one of the lucky few who was selected, I think it was like the first 20 people or something, or first 18 people, you actually got one of the heads. It was like this plaster head of the mask that was in the film.
Oh, I'm so jealous. You're making me jealous right now.
You should come over and see it. Like, it's just sitting on my shelf doing nothing at the moment, but it's like, just to have it, it's like, I own this. It's so cool.
So you pull it out for a ritual, just put it on and...
Oh, yeah, well, given it's like that big, it's in my face, considerably larger than that. But yeah, it's a film that... like, obviously, you've seen the film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I got the local DVD.
It's a pretty nasty film, and I think it warrants the reputation it has. So again, to have any of these films to finally get a blue, like Salah, 120 Days of Sodom, that got released here as well on Blu-ray. For any of these types of films to get a release, it's a victory.
It is. It's showing like we're moving forward as a society, not backwards.
We're not stuck in the Stone Ages as much anymore,
Like a bunch of old men around a censor board. Oh, I don't believe that this should pass uncut in this country. So,
who wants to watch this? We do, you old.
Oh, I don't believe
give us what we want.
The Australian government believes that this should be banned. Yeah. So.
Exactly.
It's good. So yeah, so hopefully they'll be uncut. So yeah, I mean, it's a company to look out for, Vinegar Syndrome. So I just want to point it out and do a shout out because they're pretty amazing, and I just want more people to know about them. Third bit of news I'm going to mention. This is pretty amazing news in terms of cult titles, but I don't think I mentioned this to you earlier, Dom. But Necromantic is getting a Blu-ray release in the US by Cult Epics. You can pre-order it right now.
I've heard that. Yes, I have heard that. Through the grapevine, I think on Instagram, or either Instagram or Facebook. Which, for me, Instagram, it's a great place for discovering a lot of new releases. I don't know if you use it the same way, but I have a lot of people that I follow from, especially in the US, where a lot of these films are getting released. And obviously with companies like Arrow, we talked about Cinema Cult last time being sort of like Australia's version of Arrow. And just some of the stuff that gets released over there, it's just insane.
It is.
And, even stuff like, obviously, you should chime in here. You've got like the Arrow book of knowledge over there, but things that, like, could you name a few that have not been released in Australia?
Oh, you mean it's been released internationally? Yeah, I mean there's a whole bunch. We could go on just random titles. Like, I mean, Arrow's released the stuff. The whole Bava's on Blu-ray. All of De Palma's stuff. The Exterminator, Night Riders, Maniac Cop. I mean, the stuff they're releasing is amazing on Arrow. And apparently Arrow, their Blu-ray is coming out of Necromantic, and I was shocked when I heard that it was going to be released uncut in the UK. I thought I was hearing things because the UK, they're still pretty strict in terms of censorship.
And they haven't. I mean, again, they didn't release Cannibal Holocaust uncut, and that only got released in the UK, just a couple of years ago. And that still hasn't been uncut. No. So, and Necromantic, again, like, the film itself, I think it's sort of unwarranted and warranted of its notoriety. The film itself, I find it to be a very slow film. Both films, they just sort of build to this, climactic finale of blood and gore and sex all combined together. But the films themselves, I find them to be very dull films.
Yeah, I mean, well, Necromantic...
Not that they're not a lot of fun, and given that this was, 1987, and I don't think there were necrophiliac-themed films.
No, I think it was the first of its kind.
But again, it spawned this whole German underground splatter, subgenre again, where a lot
early 90s kind of exploded on VHS
with like directors like Andreas. Oh, I can't think of the surname. Schramm or
it was the one that made those what they call those shit movies. Pure something. That was the name.
Violent Shit.
Violent Shit. Yeah, that's right.
Violent Shit. Great pieces of epic cinema.
Oh yes.
There was a whole trilogy of them actually. There was a box that you could get as well.
I like to order the Violent Shit trilogy, please. Put that in my cart next to my Criterions. Yes, it's very prestigious.
It's not for me. It's for my cousin.
Yeah, I swear it is. But Yeah, so pretty much, it's good to hear that these movies. I mean, Necromantic One, it is more of a. They're both art house movies. I mean, I think Necromantic One was shot on 8mm or 16mm. I swore someone said 8mm because it does look very degraded, and that's what gives it a gritty feel. But I think it's quite funny. There are funny moments to it. It's more of a. I see it as somewhat of a satire. It's an interesting film, but I like the first one better than the second one. I did not like the second one that much.
See, I like the second one better than the first. I thought
where we differ, Dom, don't we?
We really do. God, we contrast nicely in these podcasts.
Yeah.
I found, because again, like I said, the ending, for me, it did justify the rest of the film. And yeah, the second one is it's very dull and it moves along. It's sort of like this, kind of, it's almost a silent film. It's just this...
A German expressionism.
Yeah, it's sort of like the ins and outs of this everyday couple, and, all the while she's got this body that's rotting away in her bathtub, and what should she do with it? And then, she's trying to come to terms with, do I love the corpse? Do I love my boyfriend? And then out of nowhere at the end, you've got this crazy scene of... I'm not going to give away the spoilers, but the ending, I think Chaz Ballin said it best when they don't make them like that anymore.
Yeah.
So, great.
It's a good ending. It's just I felt like the pace of it. Necromantic 1, even though it is slow, it is slightly faster pace. And the thing I liked about Necromantic 1 is it had its funny moments. Like he goes to watch a fake slasher movie in a cinema. Contrasting the slasher genre at the time. It's a good little indie film. But yes, so enough corpses.
Enough on Necromantic. Moving on.
Move along. Our viewers don't want to hear us talk about corpses for the next 2 hours.
Or do
Yeah, do it. Well,
write in, people. Let us know what you want.
Yeah, let us know. Please put the comments. If you want to hear us dedicate a whole episode to the Necromantic series, we're more than happy to. Because we both have the DVD releases, even though they're super rare to come by.
And expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. So in the US, Cult Epics is releasing it, and in the UK, Arrow Video will be releasing Necromantic. And like I said, that just... One last thing, that just doesn't make sense, seeing how Cannibal Holocaust is censored. Necromantic's going to be uncut. So, anyway, moving along. So, one thing I want to mention was just Umbrella. So, move on to Umbrella now, unless you have anything else in the world of Argento's World of Horror. Because we can get to it.
On Argento's World of Horror. Well, no.
I just meant World of Horror. I put Argento in front of it because that's an official movie. So, just me being...
It is. It's Michaela Soavi's 1985 travelogue documentary on... In case you haven't realized, we are major Dario Argento fans, so...
doesn't give it away.
Mention the name and a lengthy discussion will ensue.
Yeah, so we'll stop there.
We'll stop here. Let's stop while the going's good. Okay.
Yeah. So, but just quickly I'm also a fan of Soavi, who did...
Oh, so am I.
Soavi, yeah, he's I think he's actually a very talented, underrated director. And
he worked after Argento before he became a director in his own right.
He did. He was in... on the topic quickly for a minute on Soavi, he was actually in City of the Living Dead. He was, how the woman spits out her intestines? He was the boyfriend in the car.
I think that's Daniela Doria. And those are real intestine shoes. Not her own, but,
yeah. Or were they?
That's freaking method acting right there. Yeah. Those are real hearts and livers, lungs that she's spitting out. And he was Fulci. And he was also in Demons as the guy with the mask giving out the movie tickets to people. That was him, and he and then obviously he went on to do, I think, Stage Fright's a great slasher film, which is essentially a Hitchcock style movie with insane fast-paced camera techniques. He's very talented. But yes. And then he went on to do The Church. Which is another good one.
I love The Church. I thought it was great. And then obviously The Great Cemetery Man, which kind of was his last movie he's done, I think. Cemetery Man.
Also known as De la Morte,
Love, Death.
Which translated from Italian to English, which means of death and of love.
Ah, okay.
So, which, if you've watched the film, makes sense. So.
All right. Well, that went on sidetracked. Speaking about World of Horror.
A lot.
Yeah. So, excellent. So we're at the 30-minute mark, so we're cruising quite well. So I was going to mention Umbrella Entertainment. So they actually have a few upcoming releases, but one of the big things I was going to mention was they are releasing Beatles Hard Day's Night. So I can tell Dom, you're just like, yes, can't wait to get it. I myself, I'm very excited because it's probably one of the best Beatles movies ever made. Before they went on, are you a fan of the Beatles at all, Dom? Before I go on my rant?
That I am. I can say that my father is, an avid Beatles fan, but I unfortunately don't share that love with him.
Okay, well, I'm quite the Beatles nerd. So, more or less, they made this movie, and it's actually a really good movie, Hard Day's Night. They then went on to make their own movies, like Magical Mystery Tour, which was complete rubbish because they didn't know what they were doing. So, but what I was going to say was Umbrella Entertainment actually have a competition going on right now, where if you go on their website and if you buy a copy, you get put in the competition to win a limited edition Beatles plaque. They are numbered, and they're limited, so it's pretty cool. I'm just trying to bring it up here. I'll link it at the bottom of this podcast, but essentially it's a limited edition plaque, and there's only going to be a few of them made. So I advise you enter now if you want to get it. And that's
you'll probably get one. I
don't know. If I'm lucky, I don't know. Put in.
It's the kind of thing I can already anticipate it will appreciate in value like crazy over the years. So
it will.
Even though I'm not a Beatles fan, it just sounds like something that will go, 5-10 years down the track for crazy money. So
it's pretty much it's going to be a limited edition plaque because the Blu-ray is restored in 4K. It's got basically all the 4 Beatles on them, and it looks quite stunning. So I'll leave a link, so hopefully people can enter it. It still goes till the 30th of July, so you still have plenty of time to enter if you want to get into it. Cool. So one other quick thing, upcoming releases. Umbrella are going to be releasing Body Double, Brian De Palma's Body Double on Blu-ray. Have you seen that movie at all, Dom?
I don't think I've seen it in quite a number of years. I think, again, the last time I would have seen that was on VHS, which I believe got released in this country by, was it Star Video?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was Star Video. I don't know if I'm getting it mixed up with Dressed
to Kill, the other De Palma movie. Yeah.
I think I'm getting two mixed up. But Body Double, that's who stars in that? That's not the Angie Dickinson one? I think she's in Dressed to Kill.
Dressed to Kill, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. I keep getting those two mixed up.
No.
Maybe if you want to tell a bit about Body Double.
But I'm the same. I'm in the same boat as you. I saw it many years ago.
I know you're an avid Brian De Palma fan. I know you really love work. So
I do. Well, this movie. Here's the funny thing: is I haven't seen it in a very long time. I saw it years ago on TV, and I've been anticipating a Blu-ray release because it's been quite rare to get for the past few years. The thing about this Umbrella release is that Twilight Time released it in the US and it sold out overnight. Are you aware of that company, Twilight Time?
You've told me about them.
Yeah, they're the ones that put like a 3,000 limit run on their products, and they release them and they sell out quickly. And the problem is, it's unfair because you miss out. Like everyone misses out. It is like unless you live in America and you're like in Australia, you have to be.
That's what I was going to say. Especially for those fans who are living in places like Australia where different time zones, and I just don't really think that that's the fairest option, the fairest way to go. And to limit it to such a low number like that. I'm all for limited releases and special editions, but given that there are people like yourself who would have wanted that release, who just missed out on it, I think that's pretty slack.
It was,
them. But anyway, enough of that.
No, it's just because
that
they get released at like 3 a.m. in Australian time, and unless you're sitting up, because obviously a lot of us have things to do like work, so unless you're sitting up at 3 a.m. waiting,
paying bill. Let's talk about that.
you know,
Pay
like
the bill. Let's just live.
yeah, let's. Like, I don't have time to sit up at 3 a.m. And wait for like a certain time for them to put it live on their store so I can have a bunch of fanboys beat me to it. Because Body Double, it's a movie I really wanted on Blu-ray, and then it's sold out, and it goes for an average of about $60, $70 on eBay, unsealed. So I just think that's ludicrous. And the good news about Umbrella is they're going to be releasing the exact same movie on Blu. It's a carbon copy of the Twilight release. So even people who live in the US and don't want to pay $60, $70, you can import the Umbrella release. It's the exact same version. But
and how much would that go for? What's the recommended retail price of that?
I believe that Umbrella's just asking for $19.99, so 20 Australian dollars.
It's pretty good.
And you can get it on sale.
And that's a thriller. That's like more of a thriller, isn't it?
It is. It has got gore elements in it. Brian De Palma, who's in that again? Craig Wasson. It's. I haven't seen it in a long time. It's his homage to one of his many, because obviously De Palma always does Hitchcock homages. I just forgot what movie it was, but
is it a play on like Double Indemnity? Is there sort of that kind of element to it?
In a way.
Or are we talking more of a Vertigo reference there with...
Not really Vertigo. It's more.
I don't think I've seen it in many, many, many years.
What's the thing?
I think I'll have to brush up on it.
That's the reason I want to obviously get the Blu-ray release so I can do a review of it and just have some comparisons. Because I haven't seen it in like over 10 years. It's been a very long time. I just remember bits and pieces. But if you've ever read American Psycho, it's actually his favorite movie. Patrick Bateman. There's a scene where a woman gets her head drilled in. And Patrick Bateman was like, "Oh, I kept rewinding that part on video," and So it's got a bit of a cultural impact.
Videotapes.
Got to return. When he says that, he's referring to Body Double because it's his favorite movie.
Yeah.
The power drill scene he finds very erotic in the book. So if you've ever read American Psycho, it's the movie didn't do it justice. But I
quite fancy the film, but
it is. It's a good movie.
I haven't read the book, so
the book's 50 times worse. But yeah, so Body Double is getting a local release. So by all means, import if you live in the US, and Australians, it's your chance to pick it up at a very, very good price. Uncut, Blu-ray, same as Twilight Time. Cool. So anything else, Dom, on Body Double, or I think we'll finish it there.
We can move on to the next film.
I've had enough Body Doubles there.
Yes.
So also coming soon, I'm just going to bring it up here, they're going to be releasing Death Ship. Now, Death Ship is a George Kennedy movie, sort of like a haunted ghost ship movie. And it was released, I've seen the VHS of it, by Roadshow. It was one of the first Roadshows, I think. Back in the day, you might know this Dom a little bit more. It's one of the really early Roadshows, I think.
And it always stood out with that very iconic cover of the front of the ship with the face on it, and I'm pretty sure you're right. I think it was one of the very early Roadshow releases. And I don't know, have you seen the film?
Yeah, I saw it on VHS. I actually have the VHS. I saw it a while ago. It's a good movie. I mean, it's entertaining.
And it's one that comes up a lot on eBay. I always see the old copy of it for the old Roadshow VHS of it. But yeah, it's a lot. I think it's a fun film. I'm amazed that totally out of random that Umbrella have picked it up, but good on them for. If anything, the release of something like Death Ship, it reminds me of the old days of Umbrella when they were releasing the really random, obscure stuff that no one else was releasing back in the day. Stuff like Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things and Slumber Party Massacre and Driller Killer, all those types of films. So I think,
It's good to see that they come. No, go ahead, Don. I was just going to say it's good to see that they're coming back around to that, releasing picking up Death Ships. It got released in the US by Scorpion on Blu-ray. Scorpion releasing, but I'm just glad it has a local release because I think people should see it. It's a very entertaining little haunted ghost ship movie, and George Kennedy, Leslie Nelson's sidekick from The Naked Gun, he
yes,
he doesn't age that guy.
Those films too.
Yeah,
I love those films. They're great films.
Yeah. But yeah, it's coming soon, so I highly recommend. Check out Ghost Ship. Death Ship. Getting mixed up with the 2002 movie.
It's like Ghost Ship. That's a totally different movie.
That's an awful movie. No, Death Ship's a great.
Yeah, we cannot talk about that.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. But Death Ship's a great movie, and also has a extra feature. It's 42 minutes long, a making of Death Ship. So all your Death Ship needs.
They'll be fulfilled with this one release. It's a definitive edition. When is that getting released? When are we talking a release date?
It's funny enough. It's
sorry. We're both delirious from a very long day.
On the 8th of July. So it's coming out.
Oh, so it was released yesterday. Then.
Yeah, it was released. Oh, it's already released. Sorry, my mistake. It was released in June. Sorry, so it came out in June.
Oh, well, there you go. We're behind the curve there. I will definitely be picking that release up. And like I said, it's very exciting when you look at the back catalogue of Umbrella's previous DVD releases. And I guess as a more, especially Italian horror file that I am, but just horror in general, looking at releases like Deep Red and Suspiria, for me, I'm sure, do you own either of those? I think you own the Suspiria release, don't you?
Yeah, I've got Suspiria. I also have Deep Red. I have both. I've got a few.
And if you want, I think they're only going for $8 at the moment.
On Umbrella's website.
On the Umbrella's site, because they've got a sale on. And that is very cheap for these films, and for the special features that are embedded in these films, and the way that they're presented on Blu-ray by Umbrella, the color, the audio, everything about it is just impeccable. These are, for me, they're as close to definitive as possible. I just watched Deep Red tonight, and I actually did a review of it, which will end up on the website in the next few days.
Yes, it will.
Once it's edited and made to look really pretty.
Yep. Get some screen grabs.
Yep. Get some screen grabs. Umbrella, I think they should be applauded again, because they had released Suspiria and Deep Red back in the day as part of their Argento collection, and it's great that they've taken that idea and now they're filling them with even more supplementary material. I hope that they're not just going to finish with Deep Red and Suspiria. I would love to see other Argento titles getting the Blu-ray treatment by Umbrella. It's they're moments of clarity. When I look at these titles, I think, wow, this is what Umbrella used to do really well. They're doing it again, and it's for me, it's a sign of, hopefully good things to come in the future. And there have been some other recent horror releases by them as well. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and Don't Look Now,
and The Prowler.
With Donald Sutherland. The Prowler, Scanners got released. The Brood, or did The Brood get a Blu-ray release?
Yes. Blu-ray and both Cronenberg.
So there's some pretty good stuff. Keep it up, Umbrella, because that's the kind of stuff people like me love. So
yeah, exactly, and even that's the thing. For the hardcore horror fan, Dom, keeps him happy, and also keeps myself happy, because they also have an incredible range of films, classic Italian cinema, 8½, French New Wave cinema. They've got quite an array of titles, so they obviously have quite a market.
The Bicycle Thief that got released.
Bicycle Thief, yep.
Recently as
Bicycle
well.
Thief. 8.5. Not Fulci's Cat in the Brain version, but the real 8.5 movie.
The real 8.5 with Marcello Mastroianni.
Yep.
And La Dolce Vita that got released by them as well.
It did. Yep. So they're really focusing on the sort of art classics of cinema. Breathless, which is Luke Gordon. So they're really obviously catering towards a number of crowds of of just moviegoers in general. So another few releases that they're also releasing. I think it's out now. The Adventures. Have you ever seen Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai? Peter Weller.
No, but that's a film I've heard so much about, and I actually remember a few years ago. I don't know if you recall on YouTube. I think there was a user called Buckaroo Banzai, and that was the first introduction to that film title for me. That I'd never heard of the film since that. Before that. But since then, I understand that film's got quite a following to it.
It does, yeah. Peter Weller, who's RoboCop.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say it's got quite a nice Blu-ray release, and so it seems like Umbrella's focusing on the cult cinema range again by releasing these, and that came out in May, so they're very consistent with their releases. That's what I like about Umbrella as a company.
Oh, there was another title they released recently as well. The Australian trash classic Razorback.
Yeah, Razorback, Killer Pig. Yep. Yeah, that's,
and that had, I remember the old, was it Roadshow?
Released back on with like an orange cover.
Listeners, you must keep this in mind. Even though John and I are both in our 20s, we are both very much, we've loved the nostalgia of the old Australian VHS labels, and we both have quite, big collections of old video titles. So
we were at the tail end.
In case you wonder why we're always talking about old VHS, that is the reason we do. It's been quite a while since I have collected VHS. I kind of got out of it for a while.
They're just so much
and again,
space.
That was motivated by not only the space, the prices people charge for them.
It's becoming like, the problem with VHS collecting now is it's becoming like just it's a con artist game. It's a con game because essentially back when we were doing it, you put up an auction, it would go for an honest price. But now we've got titles just going for ridiculous money. Like I saw a beat up shitty version of Night of the Zombies go for like nearly $80 the other day on auction.
That's ridiculous.
It is, and the problem with it is some of these. Like we have a lot of friends in the VHS community who are honest and sell them at good prices. Like we've got Alex on Facebook. Got a few people who do it, but then we've got some who they're just like carnies. Like step right up, get your VHS for like rare. They put rare title in the description, and it's like a very common Warner Brothers release. Like rare, only buy it now, $40, grab it while you can, and it's becoming the point where it's pissing me off.
And they create a sense of panic. That's what I don't like. They've got this culture of panic where if you don't grab it now, like this will be your last chance ever. And, okay, granted, there are some titles like we talked about earlier in the show that, are rarer than others. And when they do come up, that you're not going to see that again.
They deserve that price.
But then you've got other titles that that, you always end up finding a copy of them. And you just see them going for like, 100, 200, 500. I'm just like, no.
It's like, come on.
No, basically.
Get you. It's a live VHS.
That kind of motivated me to stop collecting VHS. And that's what I love about Umbrella. They take all these old, a lot of them are the old road shows. Even things like The Prowler, which got released in this country as
Video Classics.
Rosemary's Killer.
Yep, Rosemary's
on
Killer.
Video Classic Gold. They had a lot of great stuff on that label.
They did. Well, that's what I'm noticing is that the thing I love about Umbrella is like their love for 80s Australian content. I mean, they released a few years ago. They released, I believe, Thirst, Australian classic. Dead Kids. I hope that they get a Blu-ray release because Synapse released them in the not Synapse. Severin release them in the US. I hope they get a local release. And also they released films like Patrick, so just Australian horror classics.
And that got a Blu-ray release too recently. I think the original and the remake.
Yes.
Both got released at the same time. So
And the original is only $8 on their website, so you can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong with that.
For your Patrick goodness.
That's it's a pretty decent little film, you know.
It is.
And I think. Oh, sorry, you go.
No, go ahead. What are you saying?
No, you go.
No, I was just saying, for what it's worth, like that time period of Australia, Australian cinema was pretty shit. I'm not going to lie. Like in the 70s, Australian movies, unless it was a sexploitation movie, Patrick was a little horror film that stood out amongst the rest. Because essentially Australian cinema was all exploitation, unless you were Peter Weir. But yes, go on.
I know, like, I was pretty much going to say the exact same thing as you. Like, you had, a sea of, sexploitation stuff. And, I think Picnic at Hanging Rock, Umbrella released that as well. But yeah, like, you talk about grindhouse, exploitation, horror, Australian films of that period. There really isn't a lot to go on. And it's companies like Umbrella that, keep that side of it alive, and, they don't let these films fall to obscurity. So I hope Umbrella keep going with it.
What they're doing is, it's, as you were saying, I think it's pretty impressive how they're treating them with such respect and restoring them, so essentially preserving them. I mean, like, who else would restore Razorback and release it on Blu-ray? Like, I can't think of any other distributor that would even care, or Patrick. So there's a lot of love showing.
Razorback's got a really badass cover. I don't know if you've seen the cover out of it.
Which one? Sorry.
For Razorback, it's got this really awesome cover. I love it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
It's really pulp, and it's like the color. It looks awesome.
That's incredible. And they also released. I did a review on the site. Sorry, just mention, viewers, we haven't got sort of a structure. We're just going over some of the releases that stand out for us. More or less, we're focusing on the recent ones. We don't want to go back through the back catalogue. We will do a back catalogue one sometime in the future, but for now, we're just focusing on the current. So if there's obviously a bit all over the place, we're just ones that have recently been released this year. They're the ones we're actually focusing on.
Yeah.
So another title that they released this year, I did a review on the site, was Q the Winged Serpent, which is a Larry Cohen movie. Killer Dragon. Yeah. Great little movie. All Larry Cohen movies are great. I mean, for such a low budget film, he tries his best to make it as entertaining as possible. Even with little stop motion effects, he really does go all out. But that has an exclusive commentary with Larry Cohen, actually. Interview that goes for like 25 minutes. So that's the thing I like about Umbrella, is they have exclusive features on them for nearly all their releases. And Q the Winged Serpent, it's a fun little flick. Have you seen it, Dom?
Oh, not in years and years, but it is a film that I enjoyed watching. I actually think I had a copy at one point of was it the Blue Underground? Blue Underground in the day? But I actually think I traded that in for something else, which I regretted. But now I'm happy because at least I can grab the Umbrella Blu-ray of it, and I'm sure the picture quality is even far surpasses that release.
Oh, it does. Yeah, the picture quality on the Winged Serpent's it's great. I mean, considering its age, and Larry Cohen movies are shot on the cheap. Like they're not big budget movies at all, so the film stock's cheap. But I think it's a great title, and I recommend anyone to check it out if you're interested in sort of monster movies.
But that's what's also endearing about these sorts of films. Like, I think of, directors like Ray Harryhausen. Like, I don't want to see these films looking all digital and high-tech. Like, they lose the charm of what made them, enjoyable in the first place. So yeah, I'm very keen to get that particular release. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head any other release. Don't Look Now, we mentioned before, with Donald Sutherland, which isn't exactly a horror, but it does sort of play with horror elements. With what is it, the little girl, and she gets is it lost or abducted, and I think that film was shot in Rome. I think, with Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland, and they're sort of looking around trying to find this girl. Very tense film. Great performances, and obviously Invasion of the Body Snatchers just got released as well by them not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's some decent little stuff there.
Yeah, there is. The thing is, like, we could just go on for ages because there's so many released this year alone. Another title they released this year is They Live. They released on Blu-ray locally.
Yes.
That's a very nice Blu-ray because it's actually got an exclusive interview with John Carpenter. And I just love They Live. Excellent little satire. If anyone wants to see what the world really is, watch They Live, and you'll understand everything about society and aliens and why the elite are alien forces from another planet that must be taken out. Did you?
No, but
sorry, I didn't know where that was going.
I only own the DVD release of that, which I think I picked up for like $5 from a JB Hi-Fi, like some ridiculously low price. But I'm very keen to get the Blu-ray of that.
Amazing.
Like for me, like Umbrella, for a long time they were, the be all and end all in my eyes when it came to, at least horror, cult, exploitation releases in Australia. Like they released everything. Like they own everything. And just looking at the collection I have of past releases, like I said before, I really do hope that they return to their glory days of releasing the cult, the horror, the gore, just to keep people like me happy. Obviously my tastes aren't as varied as yours, John.
Maybe not. Nah, I'm the same. I'm the same boat. But I just love. It looks like they're going for a more professional look for their company, and I completely understand. I think it's great how, like I said, you've got everything from The Prowler to Bicycle Thieves. Like, there's really no limit on what they release, and even like independent films. Like, have you heard of It was a movie they recently released called Head On. It's
the Alex Dimitriadis.
The Greek Melbourne.
That's I don't know. Have you seen the film?
I had to actually study it a few years ago. It's I liked it. I thought it was a good representation of late '90s Melbourne. The whole culture down there and culture shock. Like I believe I'm trying to remember it, the whole like late '90s Melbourne gay culture scene, I think, if I recall. That's the movie I'm talking about.
Because the main character, he's gay and living in, quite a, repressed, very traditional Greek family. And he's trying to come to terms with his sexuality, and he keeps having all these encounters with guys, and his good friend is the actor, what's his name, Paul Kapsis, who's a great cabaret performer here in Sydney. And, it's a very, like, obviously, for me, like, I'm gay myself, but obviously, like, my family is nothing like that, even though we are Italian. But I can relate to that character. I know people who've been brought up in that kind of world, and I think it's a great. The way that they portray it, like they're really spot on in terms of, and he's great in it as well, Alex Dimitriadis. He is, yeah. And, it's a very hard hitting film. Some scenes are pretty intense in it, and like even the bit with his sister, how she's moving away from the family and she's going with like a what is he, like a Yugoslavian guy, and he has to like let go of that too, and there's that whole tension there, and his auntie who reads his coffee cup, and she can see the sodomy in the cup, like she's not stupid, and it's kind of like this poor guy, like he just wants to like fall in love and meet someone, and he does, and then it's like he can't even have that until he finally just comes to terms with it and tells everyone to just fuck off and just live his own life. So I really enjoy that. I'll probably end up buying that Blu-ray
Well,
at some point.
the Blu-ray, I mean, it's half price. It's like $9 on their website, and it does come with a documentary 6 years on, and a few photo galleries and heads on Athens and a few extra features. But I was just going to say, like, who else would release that movie? That's the great thing about Umbrella.
Yeah.
They really care about sort of independent Australian 90s and 80s films. And the second thing is, like, these prices, they're not that expensive. Like, they go for like crazy cheap. Most of these movies on their website. Buying direct is usually better than going to JB, because if you buy direct, they're charging like half the price in store. And obviously some of their I'm just going through other releases for this year. What else did we have? Well, I guess the big one that we kind of mentioned, and I'm doing a review on, is Last House on the Left.
Yes. Oh, yeah. How could we forget that?
I know, Craven's...
I ignored that, but yeah, that's a big one. And that's uncut.
Uncut, yeah. It was always uncut when Umbrella released it. They never had censorship issues. So I'm doing a review on it, and essentially I'm doing comparisons to Ingmar Bergman's The Virgin Spring, which is the exact same story, essentially, but set in medieval times. It's Wes Craven's first film. It's his breakout, the same as Sean S. Cunningham, and it's a gritty. It's in the vein of Texas Chainsaw, like documentary style, just gritty, independent 70s filmmaking with quite a twist of an ending, and I think it's great. I think it's no wonder Roger Ebert liked it.
Must we bring him up in every one of these podcasts?
Well, I only bring him up if he likes an obscure movie like that.
Yeah, and that is okay, I'll give you that one. But I really like the cover art of this one, and I remember the old cover art for the old Umbrella DVD, how it was just like the big words just emblazoned on the front cover.
It's only a movie.
Like, I'm very big on cover art. Like, I really love what they did with this particular release, and also with there it is. He's showing it to me on Skype right now, with Krug, across her neck. Pretty cool.
It's a beautiful cover.
Beautiful cover.
To us.
And to us, to like hardcore feminists, it's probably like a slice of depravity, but to us, it's we see a little bit beyond that, and we see other elements of it. And that film itself, it went on to spawn a bit of a subgenre there in the 70s. The director of Cannibal Holocaust, Ruggero Deodato, he did his own take on Last House on the Left, which was Last House
at the end of the
park. And both films starred David Hess.
Yeah, David Hess.
Pretty much in the same role.
It's like, just play. I can just imagine Italian, just do what you did in the last movie.
Yeah, pretty much. I could see him saying that. When you did that, do that again. It's like it's pretty much the same thing. It's like, again, with that film, they crash a a very upper class dinner party.
Dinner party. Yeah.
These socialites. So again, it differs from this film because they're targeting young girls in this one. But yeah, there were a few of these films, and again, this was around the same time as I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah.
So there was a whole kind of revenge, but also like Last House on the Left, Last House on at the End of the Park. These directors, like, they were trying to make a comment on class and politics, and they're not just gore films. They are films that do have a bit more of a message behind them than just the shock factor of, let's see this girl get her throat cut open. So, although it is fun to watch them for those scenes as well.
Yeah, it's fun for that alone. But, I mean, the thing about Last House on the Left is, I was saying it is a social commentary on just how... The interesting thing about Bergman's movie was it was set in medieval times. This is set in modern day, but it's showing how nothing much has changed over the past few centuries, and we're still as barbaric as a society. That's what I love about Craven's adaptation of it. But I'm looking at the special features, and this is packed. This has an audio commentary with two audio commentaries, one with Wes Craven and Sean S. Cunningham, and the others with David Hess. actually does a commentary. I didn't know he...
Rest in peace.
Yeah, I know. Must have
He
been...
passed away a number of years ago.
He did, yeah. That was a shock. Wouldn't have been that old, too. It would have been
No.
There's also a documentary, a 39-minute documentary on Last House on the Left. There's also another feature focusing on the soundtrack. There's deleted scenes and outtakes. Now, these are interesting, the deleted scenes, because there were... have you seen them by any chance? They were like intestines being ripped out, like a longer cut of that, and the carving on the chest. But what happened was the film was so degraded and there was no sound, they couldn't use it. So it got cut in various drive-in theaters. Essentially got butchered, and they tried to find the best pieces and put together a director's cut, which is this one. And there's also an image gallery and trailers, so pretty packed release.
I look forward to reading your review on it, John.
Yes, as soon as I get the Cannibal Holocaust one, that's going to be next on the list.
Very
exciting. Boy, it's lovely titles for the whole family can enjoy.
Really, films that you can watch with the whole family, not Grandma. Let's watch Last House on the Left. You'll love this one.
Watch this, Shani.
Watch these sluts get what they deserve. No, just
this is a porn.
Oh, they had to come in, sluts.
Yeah.
Just see my grandma.
Back in my day, when I was on the rating boards, we wouldn't allow this. So your grandma works for the rating board. Isn't that funny?
Oh, and they also released Halloween.
I was just about
and
to
Halloween
get to that.
4 and Halloween 5. But not 2 and 3. They were released by someone else.
Madman. Now on the right side.
Madman.
Yes. So Halloween 4 and 5, they're pretty much the same as the Anchor Bay Blu-ray. So same features, better artwork, I think, and same video transfer. So they look really nice on Blu-ray. Halloween 4 I liked more than 5. I hated 5. Wasn't a big
5 was...
It's okay. It's not.
It kind of, that's when it started going, because number 5 had Danielle Harris as the little girl, and she of course now has become a bit of a horror icon in her own mind. But no disrespect to Danielle, but you know,
get your autograph for only $50 with Danielle.
Sign her tits for only $50. You know, I'm sure guys will be lining up for that one. But yeah, they're fun film. And also, didn't Umbrella release the Hellraiser? I think at least the first 4.
Yeah, so there was. This is last year. They released that steelbook of all 3 of them. Beautiful release.
We're going a little bit back now, but I think, you know, it's worth mentioning just a couple of these.
Beautiful 3. I mean, we'll do the back catalogue one day, but for now, I mean, just quickly mentioning that, it was a beautiful steelbook. It was all 3 of them. All uncut, all in beautiful HD. Best transfers, I believe, possible for all those movies. And also, there was Hellraiser 4, which... Bloodline, the great sci-fi epic known as Hellraiser 4. Hellraiser in space.
Oh, it's the one that really... It's the glue that keeps the whole franchise together, let's face it.
Oh, yes, of course. As I was saying to you earlier, I have a friend who's like, you know, Hellraiser... I hope he's not listening. He's like, Hellraiser 4, it's the greatest one of the lot. You know, it's an underrated sci-fi epic. No one appreciates it. Like, it's not that good of a movie, but it's...
There's a reason nobody appreciates it. It's shite. It's absolute shite.
But it's entertaining. So...
It's fun. It's cheesy. It is what it is. Oh, and another release. I just want to quickly mention again. I think it was released around the same time as Hellraiser. Child's Play. Which got, you know, like for me, that's like a definitive Blu-ray release of Child's Play, littered with special features. The transfer was just, you know, beautiful. I love it. Has like interviews with the entire cast. There's the behind the scenes of how they made the Chucky doll come to life. There's footage of like horror conventions that the director and some of the stars went to. We meet the little boy. Now he's like this struggling actor in his 30s.
Who appears at the end of the new Chucky movie as a cameo.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Is it not Seed of Chucky?
Curse. Yeah, that's his big breakout role.
Yeah. God, it's all happening now. So yeah, I really liked Umbrella's release of that as well. And the Scanner. Like, there's a few really cool Blu-ray releases that they've put out.
So this
Scanners
year
was a great one.
Yeah, Scanners came out this year. They went on like this Cronenberg rampage this year in 2014. They released Scanners, and they also released The Brood back to back, and then they also released Dead Ringers, which
yes, the one with the twins,
gynecologists. Yeah, I love Dead Ringers. I think it's a great little thriller. And the final operating scene sequence has left to be desired, but it's just a very dark look into the psychology of twins, and highly recommended. And that Blu-ray release, I believe all we get is a trailer, but it's the only Blu-ray release in the world right now.
As far as I know, I think it's the only release on Blu-ray so far.
So it's exclusive.
Exclusive to Australia. We could bang on about Umbrella forever. Like,
well, I mean,
I've loved them for years.
Yeah.
Like, they're a great company.
Well,
but also, I think we need to mention, was it this year that they changed their logo from the iconic. Oh well, I read your mind, John. Yeah, well, you go. Okay, I introduced it, and you can keep going with it.
No, you're saying it perfectly. The iconic. I'll leave you to talk about the iconic man, little cartoon character. Yes. But the new one, looking at it as a film snob perspective, it does look a lot more classier. It's essentially just a U with a umbrella on top. So it's going down the line of something like Criterion with a nice little C. And to be honest, the new logo, when they're all lined up, it looks like a prestigious line of films comparison.
You can tell that they've almost like they're trying to, I think, to elevate themselves beyond, like, to move into a new era of Umbrella, a bit removed from the stuff that sort of rose them to prominence in the first place.
Like Body Melt.
Like Body Melt. But yeah, I will give you that. I looked at the few I've got in the new ones, like The Last House. A few that I have in the new, with the new logo. And, I mean, I love the old logo. And obviously I've got dozens of old umbrellas, and they're all lined up, and they're all matching, and they look great when they're all together. But obviously, great things can't last forever. They're, like you said before, with the 8.5s and the Breathless and the French wave stuff, the Italians. It sounds like the Night Porter, another one. It sounds like they want to move into something else, and it does look a lot more distinguished. I will say that.
Their new logo, it's obviously along the line. Also, there are companies like Masters of Cinema in the UK. I mean, even Arrow, they've got their own little simple A, and it's very stylish. I guess the old one kind of says it shows the age of the times when it came out, when DVDs were new, and he got the little umbrella. Any comments on Little Umbrella Man? The horror one, he'd be like split in half. The erotic one would have like an S&M gear on.
I fucking love the Umbrella Man. I love the Sleepy Hollow opening title sequence when you would watch. How he's the headless horseman riding through the woods and he gets sliced. But also they played around with it, like you said. Sometimes on the spine, Umbrella Man would be hollow. He'd just be a white outline. Sometimes. It'd be a black outline. Yeah. Is everything all right?
No, sorry. I'm just thinking like I'm looking at some of the other ones, like and it seems like they went for more of a simplistic. Before they changed their logo, they had trying to find one. The last few releases they had was the Brood and Scanners that had still the little man still there.
Yep.
But sorry, I cut you off, Dom, with laughter.
No, I love the Little Umbrella Man. I love depending on what film you were about to watch, the opening, introduction of Umbrella Man would change slightly. I think in some of the art house ones, he'd be walking past a cinema and you'd see posters for like Cinema Paradiso and La Dolce Vita, and it was like, I thought it was cute. So
yeah, it was cute.
I'm sad that he's gone, but
gone. These things happen. But my favorite was the I was saying the adult one where he'd have like the bondage gear on. I'm just trying because trying to find a copy of Deep Throat. Oh yeah, there he is. He's got the little bondage gear on.
Just bizarre.
Just bizarre.
Very bizarre.
But I think what they're doing is like I said, they're aiming for a more simplistic, and everything now is going simple, minimalistic in terms of design, and I think it suits them well as a film distribution company, supporting indie work and art house and everything really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that's all. I'll see if there are any titles we missed this year, but essentially this episode was dedicated to this year's titles that were released. I think we've covered them, and obviously we weren't gonna. The problem with the our last podcast, Cinema Cult, was we specifically named a few, but we went on for quite a while on each title. I like what we've done tonight, just kind of briefly recapping and mixing up. Yep. They also released Beastmaster this year, which was the Don Coscarelli sword and sandals epic about a man who can transform and see through the eyes of animals. Yeah, I know it's high on your list, Dom. Beastmaster.
Okay. Love it. Love it.
It's for anyone who likes 80s fantasy. I honestly highly recommend it. It's and Don Coscarelli, he did it after Phantasm, so it's kind of a weird jump for him to go into Beastmaster. So, but I believe
Phantasm. Just quickly before we leave Phantasm, there's a Phantasm 5 coming out this year.
Yes.
For all you Phantasm fans, of which John and I both are, that's very exciting Phantasm-related news. Sorry, I just have to throw that in as well.
And the trailer looks pretty awesome. I've seen a giant sphere. So Beastmaster, it's a great little movie. Once again, audio commentary with Don Coscarelli. That's the thing about Umbrella, is all their releases are packed. Like, you'll always find features on them, no matter what. Let's try and cover what else. They released, obviously, the Highlander movies, some of them.
Yeah.
Which are great, fast-paced movies. Highlander 3 recently just got released on Umbrella. They released, I think we mentioned Night Porter. I think we've covered all.
That got a Criterion release, did it not?
Yes, and it hasn't got a Blu-ray release yet. And also they've released The Stepfather, which is one I forgot to mention.
Yes, the what's the actor's name?
Yeah,
Stephen. I can't think.
Not the piece of shit remake, but the original.
The original.
Classic. Umbrella, they wouldn't do this to. They wouldn't release any remake unless it was a good remake. They wouldn't do that to us horror fans.
Was it Steve O'Quinn?
Terry O'Quinn. Terry.
And that had Terry O'Quinn. There you go. And that had 2 sequels to it, I believe.
It did, and they were also released by Umbrella back in the day.
But they haven't been given. Blu-ray. It's the same thing with Scanners, I think. The first got released on Blu-ray, but parts 2 and 3 were only released on DVD. It's bizarre, but, that's the way it goes.
It's the way it is.
But yeah, like I said, I love Umbrella. I love the stuff that they've put out in the past. I love the stuff they're putting out now. Some of the box sets that they used to put out back in the day. I would love to see them move into Blu-ray box sets. I think that could be an awesome venture for them in the future. So I don't think they've done any Blu-ray box sets.
No,
not to my knowledge.
Not to my knowledge. Massive, like you said, massive DVD sets back in the day. I'm trying to think. That's essentially tonight's episode was covering 2014 horror and cult titles, and obviously, that's what myself and Dom like to cover. I'm thinking of we'll cover a 2014 sort of other films, like foreign films, art house films. Like your Night Porters and your 8 and a Half.
Which I have a lot of love for those films as well.
Last Emperor.
And The Last Emperor. But even films like, I love Fellini's films. I love Knights of Cabiria and La Strada. I like a lot of those films. My tastes aren't strictly limited to horror.
Yeah.
And
no, I know.
Awesome. And I do own a number of the old Criterion DVDs. Like, I don't know if you've seen like Fellini's I Vitelloni. The one with the 5 guys and their best friends, and they live in this quiet town in Rome. And
no, I haven't seen it. I've heard it. I know
it's a great film. It's sort of like his breakout film, so I strongly recommend that. But yeah, I think we could do a podcast on the kind of Jean-Luc Godards and Fellini, and we can talk Besson. We can talk about those kinds of films too. But yeah, like we said before, right? If you want to hear a particular film or genre or label get covered more in depth, feel free to write a comment, because we'll take those sorts of things seriously. We will deliver what you guys want. Mm-hmm. We'll take requests. So
anything. It's all for you, kids.
We're easy.
Yeah. Because I also have potential guests that would love to join for that episode, a potential episode on sort of Art House Umbrella. I have a particular friend who's pretty knowledgeable in that vein of cinema, and would love to just explode on all his knowledge on those films. So that would be very useful as well. And obviously, like I said, we will have guest callers calling in, so eventually in the future. So, but yeah, Umbrella, what a label!
What a label! What a decade!
What a decade!
What a decade!
brings a tear to your eye.
It really does.
I think we've covered every horror title for 2014 I can think of that's come out this year, and like we said, that's just 2014, and we're only halfway through. So I mean,
I was going to say we're only in July. I'd love to see come December when we do our December podcasts. What's going to be released by then. So,
yeah. I think what we've done is, we'll do a December recap of Umbrella at the year. So we'll do it every half a year on a company. We can recap their titles. But like I said, we just covered horror. We didn't even cover their other stuff that they've released. And so obviously we've got Q the Winged Serpent review up. I'm working on Last House on the Left. Dom's completed Deep Red, which is, I've had a skim of it, and believe me, it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, getting everyone excited for your review, because
a Suspiria one will be coming to very, very soon. When I get a chance to write that one up. And
obviously, I've spoke to Umbrella, and potentially we'll be reviewing Body Double, and also Death Ship. I'll get a review of that done as soon as possible, and also I'll be doing a review of hopefully a Beatles Hard Day's Night. So yeah. Yes, I'll give it to you to review. You can go through and do a 20-page review.
I'll invoke my 30-year love of the Beatles for that one. Don't worry. I'll be up all night.
You'd better.
Reading and rereading. I'll just,
but I think tonight was great because we covered upcoming releases from Umbrella, the competition that they have going on with the Beatles, and obviously what to look forward to for the future, and basically half of a year worth of cult and horror titles released by the label, showing that they are coming back. Because I noticed around 2011-12 there was a bit of a drought with their horror titles, and now it seems to have just gone all out and come back to the fans, which is great. So yeah. So it looks like we're 1 hour 23 in. Anything else? Any other things you like to cover, Dom?
I think we've covered, we've exhausted, our love for Umbrella, and, I look forward to your reviews and, seeing my review up as well. But yeah, like I said, if anyone has any comments or wants to even ask us something, don't hesitate to write in. By all means, keep checking our website and keep checking the reviews that are going up. And there's always going to be stuff being added to. At the moment, so obviously we're on a bit of an umbrella high, but we'll be covering other things as well. Let us know what you want, and we'll deliver it if we can.
We'll do a review, because the whole idea of this website exists, and our Facebook page as well. Don't forget, if you can like that would be a great help. And also just post things on the Facebook page so we know. The reason I created the site was obviously because I felt like there was a lack of this in Australia in terms of local releases being reviewed frequently, because I searched everywhere. I could not find a Q the Winged Serpent review anywhere. I mean, no one was going to review that. So the whole idea I'm doing this is so Australian fans can have basically an honest opinion on their local releases, so they can actually go in there, they can find it, and get a good review of the features, movie itself, and also the video and audio quality, and how it compares to the rest of the world. And we're doing it for obscure titles. It's the whole idea of it. So anything really, we're open to anything.
Wide open.
Yeah.
As open as the desert. So.
True. So I'll just sit here twiddling my thumbs.
Well, no, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
So.
And next week there are talks of a potential Clive Barker retrospective with a guest star that could be calling in.
Stay tuned for that.
Making a quick cameo. Because obviously Nightbreed Director's Cut got announced. That's pretty exciting for Clive Barker fans, and we'll just do a bit of a retrospective on Barker, some of his work, and obviously new review titles. Just let us know so we can start off the show with a review or a recap of something.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I think that's about it.
I think so too.
All right, thank you for listening to us, guys. We kept it under an hour and a half, so that's a record for us so far. And we hope
that's saying something, given how long our conversations normally go for. So.
That is saying something. This was the cut version. Yes, no, that was completely uncut. You'll get the raw file. So obviously, I'll post it on the site. I'll also post the audio file so you can download it for your iPhone and/or Android device. Like I said, I don't discriminate. I use MP3, not MP4, like some people. And I hope everyone enjoyed. And that's it. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone. Enjoy.
See you next week.
Bye.